Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list is a continuation of the past 2 weeks where I'm doing the top 10 ways to collect. I've come up with well over 40 different ways you can collect, different ideas on what to collect, how to collect, what direction to guide yourself in. Ultimately, remember that your collection should be just that, your collection. There is no right or wrong way. There's simply understanding what's worth something and what isn't worth something. And yeah, you could very well pay a bunch of money, overpay for a note because you want it, but be aware that if you do that, when it comes time to sell it, you may not get that money back. That's why I focus on stuff that generally have prices and price guides, and I make sure that I'm getting good value for my money. Now, the thing is, like I said, ultimately it's your collection and you have no one to answer to. I just don't want you to spend a ridiculous amount of money on a note and then take it to a dealer and that dealer tell you, well, it's not worth anything. Get what you like, keep the price in mind, make sure you understand what you can resell it for and what its value is. All right. So far, I've done 20 of these ways to collect. This is going to be 10 more, so this is going to be part 3. And like I said, I just divided these up into different subsets, different little groups, no particular order. It's going to allow you to see different types of notes in different categories, hopefully encouraging you to choose one or more of these categories to guide your collection into that particular realm. Okay, so here we go with part 3, 10 more ways to collect. Number 1 this week, we are going to go with Federal Reserve notes. Federal Reserve notes. Federal Reserve notes were put out by the Federal Reserve, and they don't necessarily have anything backing them other than the faith and trust of the federal government. And some of you may go, oh yeah, whatever. But the federal government's been around for 250 plus years, so it's doing pretty good. Considering that with nothing backing these notes but the full faith and trust of our government, it is one of the highest rated notes in the planet. There are countries that use our notes to back their currency. So say what you want, the Federal Reserve note is still a monster, and to collect all the different types of Federal Reserve notes is a good way to go. That is number 10 on my, or number 1, I should say. Number 2 this week, we're going to go with legal tender notes. Now, a legal tender note is, by definition, a note that is valuable for tender, for money, because of a law. A law was passed saying that so much money had to be in circulation. So that law is what gives these notes their value, or at least gave them their face value. Obviously, a lot of these notes have much higher collector value. For legal tender notes, generally you are talking about a red seal. Generally, for Federal Reserve notes, you're talking a green seal. Not always the case, but just in general terms, that's what you're talking. So legal tenders, our country started with legal tenders all the way back in 1862, the first notes ever printed. Technically 1861 demand notes, but 1862, the first notes intended for true circulation were legal tender notes. That is number 2 this week. Number 3, we are going to go with silver certificates. Now, when we talk silver certificates, here we go. Silver certificates. These were backed by silver. The most prolific period of time that silver certificates were in existence was, well, the most prolific time, I should say, was from the 1869, 1870 range to about the you can find 1957 silver certificates, but the bulk of it was done while Morgan silver dollars were in production. All of the silver certificates were backed by silver, quite literally. Silver certificate, the United States of America, Where does it go? Trying to find out. There we go. This certifies that there have been five silver dollars, basically, deposited in the Treasury. Here we go. Try that again. This certificate, this certifies that there have been deposited in the Treasury of the United States of America five silver dollars, payable to the bearer on demand. So there was actually five silver dollars, and those silver dollars that were at the Treasury were Morgan silver dollars. That's why you find so many Morgan silver dollars. Morgan silver dollars were used to back the bulk of these, and that's why that's why you will still find bags of silver dollars turning up randomly, because that was used to actually back these. You were able to exchange these for silver dollars, and that gave people the faith to actually spend our currency. So that is number 3, silver certificates. Number 4, well, if we got silver certificates, we can go with gold certificates. Once again, just like the silver certificate, gold certificates had gold sitting in the Treasury representing these particular notes. It is much easier to run around with a piece of paper than it is to run around with 500 ounces of gold. So by using these certificates like these, it was so much easier to move money from one bank to another or from one place to another. The simplicity of it also helped people adapt to using paper money. Those are gold certificates. That's number 4 this week. Number 5, this is a Treasury note. Now, a Treasury note or a Treasury coin note, these were backed by precious metals, but not specifically gold or not specifically silver or copper. The Treasury simply had enough precious metal on hand to back all of these notes. So they weren't designated a gold certificate or a silver certificate. They were simply backed by the Treasury of the United States. And yeah, these are also really cool notes to get a hold of. Not a whole lot of these out there. So it is kind of a unique, smaller spin-off of different things to collect. But yeah, that's a Treasury note. That is number 5 this week. Number 6, we're going to go with national, where am I going? Nationals, yep, national banknotes. These are national banknotes. Now, national banknotes started when banks used to print their own money, and you never knew if a bank was still in existence. So the federal government went out to different banks and found out what their bank records were, found out if the banks had enough money to cover everything, and if they were given a charter number like this, and they were allowed to back certain notes. They could put money on deposit with the federal government, and then the federal government would print money with their bank's name on it, showing who was actually backing the note. There was over 15,000 different charter numbers. Nationals come with basically the name of the city and the national bank that it was. So you can probably find nationals that have your own city on them. That makes them pretty cool. Anyway, nationals, that's just yet another way to go. And they did both large size and small size. What you're looking for is this right here, the charter number. That'll definitely tell you which is which. So that is number 6 this week. Number 7 is our notes that people tend to confuse with those national banknotes. These are called Federal Reserve banknotes. Now, they still say national currency, so they use the same plates, national currency. They use the same plates as the small size national banknotes, but these weren't backed by individual banks. These were banked by the actual Federal Reserve banks. There are 12 Federal Reserve banks. That's how we get the letters A through L on our currency today, each of the different districts. So yeah, you can see this one, of course, was Chicago. Here's another one from Chicago. Federal Reserve banks, you can see right here, Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. This is the one backing it. So it's one step beyond just your regular national banknote. It is the Federal Reserve's, and a lot of these are, some of these are just really impressive. Like for instance, the Battleship note. This is one of my favorites because it's from the Federal Reserve of New York, and it features the USS New York on the back. So those are Federal Reserve notes. Federal Reserve banknotes, I should say. That is number 7. Number 8, I'm going with emergency currency from World War II. There's 2 different types of emergency currency. There was the Hawaii notes and the North Africa notes. The Hawaii notes are actually stamped Hawaii on the front. They've got a brown seal, and they've got Hawaii stamped on the back. The Hawaii notes are actually Federal Reserve notes, as you can see across the top. The North Africa notes do not say North Africa anywhere on them, but they do have this gold seal here, and they were all silver certificates. Basically, this was used in the Atlantic, this was used in the Pacific. And it was done so that if our enemies ever confiscated a bunch of our cash overseas, Congress could simply say that these notes are no longer valid. Now, there weren't a whole lot of denominations. I believe for North Africa notes, there was the 1, the 5, and the 10. And for the Hawaii notes, there was the 1, 5, 10, and the 20. So not a whole lot of different ones to collect there, so it is a fairly easy series to complete. Either one, the Hawaii or the North Africa, or both for that matter. So those are emergency currency notes from World War II. I'm calling that one number 8 this week. Number 9. Let me find these. Number 9, we are going with Colonial and Continental currency. This is the stuff that predates our country. 1700 or 1770 on this particular note. Here's a 1776. Basically, if it's 1776 or newer, that would be Continental currency, because that was designated by the Continental Congress. And if the note is like this one, 1759, that would be Colonial, from the colonies. Colonies were pre-statehood, pre-United States. So that's the distinction between Colonial and Continental. Having any paper currency from the 1700s is pretty cool. There's a lot of different ways that you can collect these. You can do it based on the denomination. Some of these are done in dollars. You can see there's $50 here, 1/6 of a dollar here. What's this one? Half a dollar. $20 on this one. Yep. So yeah, lots of different ways that you can actually collect these. And there's even stuff like some notes that'll contain shillings and stuff like that. So Continental and Colonial, another really cool way to collect notes. That is number 9 this week. And number 10, we're going to go with fractional currency. Fractional currency is from the Civil War. People were hoarding precious metals, and they decided that they were going to start printing the change rather than minting the change. And this is what the change of the Civil War looked like. These are both 50-cent notes here. They made them in denominations as low as 3 cents, and some weird denominations like 15 cents. But yeah, having notes like these made it easy for people who were hoarding change to actually still spend money. Well, that's what I've got for you guys this week. Another 10 notes to cross off. If you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Stay tuned for my final 10 next week. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.